Okay, I just measured my temperature. It's higher than usual.
You do it in your armpit, huh?
Where do you do it?
Under
your
my tongue?
butthole? Oh.
No.
I'll also do under my tongue, just to be sure.
Did you clean that?
Yeah, sure.
Temperature check, icy cold. Temperature check, searing hot. Temperature check, listen to the temperature check, icy cold. Temperature check, searing hot. Temperature check, listen to the
temperature check with Noah and Josh.
Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Noah. How are you? What's your temperature?
I am 35.6 degrees today.
35. Oh, you already know that. I need to do mine here. Hold on.
I make this part of my my morning ritual, so I know it pretty much when I wake up.
35.8.
There you go.
Speaking of morning rituals, I've started running in the mornings like a total fucking idiot.
Get out.
Yeah, no, I have been. Yeah. I've been, now that I don't need to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning to take my kid to school, I've been waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning to...
And you're going for a run. Good for you.
Going for a run. It is, like I've been doing this thing where I've been like slowly compiling a list of like good things that have been happening, just to like remind myself that there are still good things going on in the midst of this. And like I added going for a morning run, and it's actually not a good thing. It's fucking awful. I hate it. It's not like I've been like moments of like zen or whatever, and I know I need to do it and be active, whatever, but it's not like I don't find people like I don't find joy in running. It hurts.
Yeah.
I feel like
it's
shit
pretty
afterwards.
Much from start to finish, running is painful and a horrible experience until like afterwards when you're done and you like can think back on it and like, yeah, I guess that was great.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather be biking, but I don't have a good bike for doing that. So it's I am not willing to put an investment. I'm not going to spend now when I'm not making any money. I'm not going to be spending hundreds of dollars on a bike just because I don't want to go running.
Do you think you're going to continue running after the pandemic?
I don't know. We'll see. I told myself I was going to do it for at least 2 weeks because I figured that would be enough time to see like if my body adapts to it and it doesn't just feel awful every single time. And I've been doing it this week, and like at least I'm not feeling like horribly sore for the rest of the day now on Friday anymore. But
yeah, another thing you can write on things that happened this week. I don't even know if I need to make them like good things that happened this week. It's just things that happened this week, or does it need to be good things?
Mine is it has to be good.
Okay, well, then maybe you don't write this down, but it's good for me. I'll write it down. You shaved your face way too short, and it's hilarious.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a mistake. I mean, getting rid of the beard I did it on purpose, and then I was like just trying to neaten up the mustache and this shitty pair of clippers that I bought from Rossmann.
I had a little mishap with my haircut as well. I did the classic quarantine haircut of buzzing my head down, and the buzzers broke halfway through. I sent you a photo.
That was super funny.
Yeah, I say if I share that photo, you should share a photo of your mustache.
No, this is like the perfect time for everyone to be wearing masks. So whenever I go out, I've got a mask around my face. No one has to see this until the mustache grows out a little bit more, and I don't look like I'm about to tie a maiden to the railroad tracks or something.
My internet was disconnected, and I was all self-righteous, like, why is this not working? And then I called the lady, but I'm trying to be very polite to anyone who has to work right now because I feel really bad for them. So I was like, hey, like, I'm so sorry. She's like, you haven't paid in 2 months. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Well, that's a good place to start. Welcome to the show, Matilde Keizer.
Thank you.
And
Are we
Dan
recording?
Stern. Yeah, we're recording. Thank you for interrupting.
Okay, I'm just
Hi. Thanks for having me, Mr. Telson.
Yeah, thanks for having which Mr. Telson?
I'm sorry, Mr. Telson's.
It's Daddy Telson.
Oh
and
no,
Telson.
don't do that.
Daddy Telson is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Really awful. We're just gonna go straight into what's your temperature, Matilda?
I just measured, and I am a very solid 36.7, both armpit and tongue.
All right,
6.7.
I'm firing up the Braun. It's a Braun thermoscan. It's for taking in your ear.
That thing looks like it can like suck your soul out of your ear.
37.3 lights up green.
Oh my God, that's slightly too
elevated.
high.
That's a little elevated.
I think my ears are hot from wearing these children headphones.
3 is okay though. That's right on the border, isn't it?
I'm going to check the other ear.
Other ear. Yeah, let's see if it's hotter or colder in your other ear.
37.
You should put it in your butt.
A few months into this podcast, Noah, we're going to be amazing at knowing like average temperatures of people and being able to do the math.
I'm already amazing at like checking my own temperature and my own average temperature.
You're amazing at that?
I'm amazing. It's pure math.
And what is your so in addition to your temperature, what's your temperature check mentally? How are you doing, Matilda?
What's the temperature of your brain?
The temperature of my brain is like, it's like a simmer. You know, if you got it a little hotter, it would be too hot. If you got it a little colder, it would be too cold. You're just right on the edge, keeping those bubbles.
Really? Oh, so isn't that good?
Yeah, that sounds like it's good, but you're saying it in a negative way, like it's not good.
I mean, it's okay. It's just like you don't want anything to upset the temperature.
Oh, yeah. It's a delicate balance.
It's a delicate balance. It's like ready to poach an egg, but not.
But you're like, I mean.
Uh-oh.
Or, oh, no. Am I?
I can finish your sentence for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said, you are basically my only friend. And if anything were to happen to you, I don't know what I would do. Do you feel the same way about me?
That's
so
exactly
nice
what I was
to
going to
hear,
say.
Noah. I feel the same way. Yeah.
Nice. How are you, Dan?
Oh, today was good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I went into, like, week 1 of the lockdown, real manic wild, having a good time, producing great tweets, flipping wildly emotionally. Week 2, real dark. Real dark. But, like, I've gotten used to a certain level of like general mental health to where I didn't even realize how far I deteriorated, and then like I was like looking in the mirror and I was like, oh, I know this scene from Royal Tannenbaums. And then I did a little course correcting in terms of like how I was going about my days and my nights. And then also the sun came out, and that was nice. But like now I feel like I've got also just like my lockdown rhythm going.
Well, I ran into Josh on the street today while I was on the way to my therapist. Speaking of mental health,
right?
That was fun.
That was.
Wait, are you still going to your therapist?
I am. She's a wild child.
Oh,
wait, you guys should be. You're both lunatics. This is not
Josh,
a good sign.
That's seeing crazy and lunatic. That's not strengths based. Okay, I'm sure any therapist would tell you otherwise.
I don't know what just happened. All I do know is that Matilda and I both had this thing. I think we know each other pretty well. But we had this thing that hasn't happened to me in a long time. Where you're like, I feel like I recognize this person because we both had sunglasses and masks on and hats actually. But we still. It was just something about the way you were walking, and I have that big fucking bike. But
for me, it was like, oh, that's a big bike. I like that mask. I know those glasses, and I was like, that's Josh.
It was so funny.
What kind of mask are you rocking, Josh?
Our mother sent along some homemade masks that have like fun, funky patterns of fabric on them. They're nice.
Yeah,
except that the elastic
wanted one when I saw it.
Yeah, they're really. I think her ears are either further down her face or her head is smaller because like they constantly just pull my ears out. I look like even worse than I usually do.
When she said she was making them, and I requested a design, and I immediately regret it now because she wasn't able to fulfill the skull and crossbones that I wanted, and went along with those with that style Yeah, that theme, and now I look like Bane when I walk out.
Oh my God! Well, that's an opportunity, you know.
See, I don't have a mask yet, so I just like rock different bandanas.
That's what we were doing for a bit. It made us look like a posse whenever, like about to rob the dens as soon as we went into the supermarket every time.
Today I had one with kitty cats on.
Yeah. Aw.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm like so self-conscious. Like the first day I went out with a mask, I felt like I don't know. It just felt weird doing it.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing more and more people doing it, and the more and more people that do it, the less I feel weird doing it myself. But still,
I think that's how being normal works.
No,
Yeah.
but it's also one of those things. It's like the same thing that happened to me when I got a bike helmet. Like beforehand, I was like, I don't need a bike helmet, and then as soon as I got one, I was like, look at all these assholes without a bike helmet. Like before I had the mask, I was like, I mean, maybe I need it. And then after I got it, I was like, look at these motherfuckers infecting everybody.
I'm just happy we can all dress openly like ninjas.
Is that what you think we look like?
I do.
Medical ninjas.
The first time I went out with the mask was going to the grocery store. Wore it the whole way there, but it was like kind of hot. So I was like, I don't need to be wearing this kind of walking down an empty street with no people on it. So I pulled it down, did all my shopping, then got out and was like, the cold air hit my face. I was like, I should put this mask on now.
That's great.
Oh, hey, can you guys hear the crying in the background?
No.
But now I'm sad. Thanks,
Yeah,
Dan.
no.
You just made my simmer go to a boil.
What? Oh,
Hey there.
she doesn't have kids, Josh. She doesn't know that like a child crying is nothing to be sad about.
Oh, I thought it was your wife crying.
No, it's my son. You guys mind if I just scooch out for 1 sec?
Not at all.
Yeah.
All right, I got to the bottom of it.
What was the issue?
Oh, the lid came off of the cashew bottle.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
He's got cashews next to his bed.
No, I don't know. I don't want to put parenting things on the podcast. If people will judge me.
Yeah, I'm not. I will be the last person to judge you.
Dan, cashews are peanut adjacent.
Yeah.
I think one's a nut, right? Are cashews a nut?
Yeah.
Yes.
Legumes, aren't they?
Yeah. Cool. All right. Oh God.
Well, peanuts
I don't
aren't. They're joking.
Whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Peanuts are legumes. Cashews come in fruits on trees.
That's true. The first time you see a cashew flower is like mind blowing.
Yeah. Have you ever had cashew juice?
Like, is that different than cashew milk?
Yeah. Cashew milk is made from the cashew. Cashew juice is made from the cashew fruit.
Why are you saying cashew with the emphasis on the second syllable? It's
I was
crazy.
just about to say that.
Really?
Think you're better than me? Oh, a cashew? How do you feel about almond milk? Why don't you actually introduce yourself as a nut?
What kind of nut are you? If you were a nut, what kind of nut would you be?
Ooh, that's such a good question.
That's such a good question.
Oh, I know.
Definitely big and swinging.
Okay, I'm a pecan or pecan because you never know how to pronounce it correctly. Some people hate it. Great in a pie. Surprisingly good salty too.
The Brazil nuts. I'm a Brazil nut because I got flavor.
Hey, Brazil nuts are disgusting.
No, Brazil nuts are tasty. They're the meatiest nut.
They're the worst nut in the mixed nut can.
Oh my
Is that
God.
the same thing as a macadamia nut?
No.
Macadamia nut is expensive and round and perfect. None of us are a macadamia.
Oh, I do like macadamia nuts, though. I think that's what I meant when I said Brazil nut.
I was pretty sure that's what he was talking about.
God, you guys know each other.
Dan didn't tell us what kind of nut he is.
Yeah, Dan, what kind of nut
I
are
said
you?
big and swinging.
That's not
I
a
can't
nut.
think of anything dumber than that to say. I think the almond, because there's this veneer of bitterness, but you get inside and it's good for you. I also I'm a water intensive crop.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're mildly poisonous.
Yeah. Yep. And that's been Nut Talk.
I like the part at the end
Thanks
where you were
for-
mean to me. That was my favorite part of that podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry. Next up on ORI, Open Radio International, it's Notes on Notes, a show about the makers behind the music with hosts Brenda Bailey and Barry Bissalon.
I'm Brenda Bailey. Welcome to Notes on Notes, a show where we go on the record on records.
And I'm Barry Bissalon, joining in to discuss discs.
We've written tracks on tracks.
It's not a competition.
Well, we agreed on record on records.
But I was supposed to say the tagline.
What is this really about?
Well, I think you know the answer.
Our guest today is rapper MC C-Valley. His newest single, True Hero, is a breakout hit and included on the soundtrack to the hit reboot of The Keystone Cops, starring Vin Diesel. The New York Times called him Seattle's Eminem, after which the newspaper was sued for defamation by Eminem.
And then also by the city of Seattle. MC Valley, welcome to Notes on Notes.
Yo, thanks for having me. Also, I'd like to point out that I'm now legally cleared to compare myself to Eminem.
And do you?
Well, what I do is feminism. That's putting the Eminem in feminism.
C Valley, tell us about your background.
I grew up with like island culture. I'm from Mercer Island, Seattle. It's not a suburb because it's an island.
It's also extremely wealthy.
Yeah, but like only in terms of money. Culturally, it is like a total wasteland, which is much more profound form of poverty if you think about it.
Right.
Yes, well, just now I've thought about it, and that idea is at best preposterous.
Thank you.
When I asked about your background, I was actually referring to your father, who is famous in his own right.
Whoa. My manager said we weren't going to be talking about him. Y'all try to embarrass me.
Oh, we don't have to discuss it if it's...
Oh, yeah, it's okay. My dad is running for president, Howard Schultz.
You have a song about the presidency called Politics, spelled with 4 X's.
Actually, it's spelled with 1 X.
Oh, on the track listing, there are 4 X's.
Yeah, that's Politics with an X and then a triple X.
All right. Well, let's hear a bit from that, this Politics XXX.
No, y'all, you ignorant radio guy. Triple X is Latin for 30, like Trenta.
Okay, well, let's just play it.
Yo, nobody's perfect. This song goes out to all my fans, East Coast, West Coast, Middle Pod, Canada. What up, Vancouver? Your mountains are beautiful and your skyline is underrated. Keep struggling, Canada. Keep your chin up. This song, it's about 2020. In America, we vote, and voting is how you pick a president. Gotta do our part. America, the beautiful, that is what they say. President, not a woman, that is not okay. The president should go to schools like Harvard or Yale. If I picked the president, she would not be male. The president should be so smart, scientists say tutor us. Also, I believe that she should have a uterus. Not that anatomy defines gender at all. Some men are short and some women are tall. But not just any woman though, they are all terrific. There's a few things that I need and now I'll be specific. She can't be too mean, she can't be too nice. She has to be strong and take my advice. Intersectionality, that is a must. Do I know what that word means? You better trust. She can eat food if she does it right. Must appeal to racists, but not be too white. She can be any age that's not too young or old. She has to be authoritative, but not seem cold. Must have an impressive resume, but also never been in government for a day. If you need cookies, she will make you a dozen. She also has to be a socialist for my cousin. Clothes and makeup, they do not matter as long as they do not stand out and they also flatter. America, the beautiful, that is what they say. But the president, not a woman, that's not okay. I should pick the president. 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 I'd pick one real good. And she would be a woman. just like she could. Yo, this is MCC Valley. What up, Seattle? Seattle is green. I love you.
So, is there actually a woman you've voted for?
I technically do not know because my dad fills out my ballot for me every time.
Well, that is election fraud.
You call it that. I call it leadership. R.I.P.
R.I.P. who?
My dad.
Oh, my God, he's dead? I had no idea Howard Schultz died.
Nah. R.I.P. means respect. I learned that from my Tupac t-shirt.
Well, the point is, it is illegal to have someone vote for you.
Nah, actually, all presidents have people vote for them.
Well, what I mean is that it's illegal to have someone else fill out your ballot.
Nah. See, you're very confused because this is a democracy, which means that we choose someone to make decisions for us. I chose to have my dad make that choice for me. If anything, it's like double democratic. Also, I'd like to just put in a little plug here. I just put out a children's book. It's called A is for Oppression.
And that ended the interview, as well as the show. That is the final moment of Notes on Notes. Brenda Bailey and Barry Bissalon broadcast for 25 years, and then, after talking to MCC Valley, decided that they could no longer enjoy talking to musicians or listening to music. He was that terrible. I'm Nipsey Klisterhoff. Thanks for listening to ORI, Open Radio International.
All right, here we are with Sophie Walsh-Harrington. She's a good friend of mine, but also a psychological well-being practitioner or a therapist or a psychological coach. Is that right?
Yeah. Hi.
Welcome to the temperature check, Sophie.
I'm so hot.
Yeah? Are you?
I'm actually really hot. It's really sunny outside and I've got to open a window. And
Oh, no. Are you sure it's hot out there and you don't just have a fever?
I don't know. There wasn't any thermometers in the shops.
Yeah, so it is. It is tradition. This is only our third episode, but we're making a tradition to check our temperature with all of our guests.
Yeah.
And I guess you don't have a thermometer to do that.
No, rub it in. Feel the anxiety. No, I don't.
Oh, no.
I guess it's good to get started by just asking generally, as a therapist in this particular time, in this context of the pandemic, generally, how are things now?
It's weird because it's not as corona focused as I thought it would be. People still have their normal worries, their normal problems, their normal low mood. Sometimes it's exacerbated by what's happening, but actually the majority of people I'm speaking with are finding being forced to stuck inside quite liberating. They're not faced with the usual difficulties and anxieties that the outside world bring. So a lot of people are actually feeling better.
Well, that's a silver lining in this whole thing, isn't it?
Kind of. It's a bit of a double-edged sword because being in your bubble is nice in the short term, but in the long term, you're not teaching your brain that you are able to face fears. Right. So it's an interesting one. It's fascinating, really. One of the things about self-isolating is obviously what it confronts in yourself. So if you're on your own in particular and you're not used to that, you're having to be with yourself and have yourself as company. And obviously we construct a lot of things in our life, so we don't have to do that. Whether it's being a workaholic, whether it's, distractions, going to a comedy theatre cafe, for example, we don't have to spend a lot of time with ourselves. So for some people, it's going to be really difficult because it's the voices in the head and the emotions. But I mean, we've got distraction in the house, right? We can drink.
Yeah.
Is that a clinical recommendation?
Absolutely not. As my bottles of wine are staring at me from the corner of the room as friends. But then a lot of people, you can't generalize, can you? Because like you, Josh, you're at home with your little ones. So that's going to be bringing its own interesting dynamic.
Put it right, exactly.
Yeah. And then there's
I'm curious about on that end. I mean, do you do sessions remotely with people now, or do you still see people in person? Is that even possible?
No, we can't see people face to face at all. So I do all of my sessions. I'm doing them all by telephone, by touch type, over the internet.
Yeah.
So there's a really good evidence base for all those methods. So there's kind of a myth that face-to-face therapy is the best therapy. It's not.
Right.
There's lots of ways you can deliver the kind of interventions I deliver. It's not really much different for me. I'm finding it enjoyable working with people like that. There are positives, but it's not to invalidate how people must be feeling, which is grief, loss, sadness, waves of awful anxiety. Not to mention people that are in sort of domestic abuse situations and awful household situations. Can't even really imagine what that must be like.
I'm curious, you mentioned that on a one-to-one level, not a lot has changed because people still have all of, their normal anxieties. But have you noticed, like, generally, any changes other than the kind of the remote sessions since everything started? I mean, have there been any things you've kind of noticed? Yeah,
I mean, I guess there's a general feeling of losing control, which is really difficult for people. When you have your life in order and you have your routines and you have all the things that you do in your life, you have a sense of control. And, getting your flights cancelled, not knowing what's going to be happening in 3 months' time, suddenly people are having to tolerate uncertainty, like in a completely unprecedented way. I hate that word, but it's true. And it's human beings can't do that very well. So we find tolerating uncertainty is really, really difficult. And en masse, we are now forced to just go, actually, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or next week. Yeah. And depending on your personality type, depending on how you cope with that kind of anxiety, it can be really, really difficult for people to sit with that feeling.
Not to make this always about me and what I do, but this sort of jumping into the uncertainty is a lot like improvising. And the fundamentals of improv is really submitting yourself to the moment and not letting yourself say, I know where this is going, but to just follow the move. So in a way,
I love that.
Yeah. If you've taken improv classes.
I have.
I mean, the one thing that I will say, and I don't want to undercut us, generally speaking, I do agree with Noah, but like this is on such a larger level, right? And everything else comes into play, right? And I mean, and now I'll talk about myself, but it is so difficult when I have my family here with me too, right? Because whatever, it ebbs and flows, but my kids react to it totally differently. My wife has her own reactions to it, but we're all in the same space. So we all have to kind of go through that together. Yeah. So that to me has been one of the more interesting things is like, the kind of interpersonal relationships. Clearly, domestic abuse situations notwithstanding, that is clearly awful, but just the normal like roommate or couple thing, how we now deal with being around each other all the time.
Yeah. Wow. How do you?
Well, I mean, I don't want to take it. Do you have roommates? Do you live with it, or you?
No, I live on my own, and I have for a long time. So I really enjoy my own company. I'm feeling smug now, but well, there's pros and cons of both, isn't there?
Of course, of course.
If you're feeling that kind of claustrophobia, it's probably quite important to set some boundaries, and it's actually okay to try to negotiate having your own space and having time for yourself and what you need to do in order to restore and relax and bring your anxiety down, because, you know, it's like that cliche, you know, you can't put anyone else's oxygen mask on before you've put your own on.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and if you want to be, you know, a healthy, good dad and husband, then you do need to put yourself first, and it's the same for your partner.
Right.
So it's about carving out that time and that space. I don't know how, because that's so hard in the current situation, but I guess it's about having compassion for yourself and for who you're living with as well. Because as you say, everyone is reacting totally differently. And some of those reactions are going to be extreme. They're going to be really emotional. And all of our emotions are going to be really intensified.
Wow.
So I suppose it's learning to kind of take a breath and holding other people's position in mind, but also allowing yourself to get your needs met as well.
Yeah. Good. That's what I'm going to tell my kids.
Yeah, tell your kids you just can't, you know, can't be asked to talk to them tonight. You're going for a long walk. Yeah.
Well, to be
I'll be back
honest,
next week.
that is one thing that my wife and I have been doing. We kind of take turns, just being able to have some time going out on a walk by ourselves, which it's very important. Yeah,
that's another message that I really want to get across, is that these are such crazy times. This idea of being a good enough parent, you know, it's never been more true. You can't do this perfectly. I've seen so much. I don't know what you guys are doing, but we're homeschooling now. Like schools are shut, and I've seen so much, you know, noise about schedules and timetables and this and that. And to me, I don't have kids, but it just looks absolutely exhausting. You know, we're already trying to cope with everything that's going on, you know, and process it. And it's not been that long. And actually, I think, I don't know if people would agree with this, but I think there's permission to kind of like let your kids have a bit more screen time, you know, let them, you know, take the routines and rituals of school life and kind of be a bit more relaxed with them, because otherwise everyone is going to go mad.
There's also just something to be said, and I'll say the word again, which you alluded to earlier as not liking, but it is so unprecedented, right? Nobody knows how the right way forward, right? So the only thing we can do is just make sure that what we do is as conflict-free as we know, right? And
to bring it back to improv.
Yes.
Call back. Oh, so many layers to that. You know, the thing that gets in the way of giving a good performance in improv is self-criticism, right? It's being so aware of what you're doing and beating yourself up and putting pressure on yourself to do a good performance. And I'm really noticing that there's a lot of kind of that going on with people self-isolating. Oh, right, well, I've got more time, so I have to do that business that I always want to do, or I have to create that website, or I have to write that best-selling book because there's so much time, and, you know, I have to be the perfect mum and dad and all this. And actually, like, give yourself permission to just relax and be, and actually just let it unfold, because our brains, our animal brains, which, you know, are completely, we're not in control of, our amygdala that reacts to threat instantly through fight or flight is engaged. So we are like a meerkat just looking around for danger. And it's really difficult to do anything else when we're in that state.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, we have to relax. We have to engage the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of the body that comes into play after the threat has passed. And we can do that ourselves. We can bring that on with exercise, with deep breathing techniques, with progressive muscle relaxation techniques, you know, with switching off. That's the first thing we need to do before we start, you know, trying to change the world.
Yeah, we do seem to like pile on all this extra stuff just because we have suppostly all this extra time.
Yeah, but who actually does have any time?
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I felt like I'm more busy now than I've ever been.
I certainly am. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it's really awkward as well when people are inviting you to things online and you're like, what excuse do I use? I just don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to
Exactly. Although
We
I
have
will
run
say
out of
that-
excuses.
Yeah.
But you know what? I will say that one thing that I've noticed is that there are more people, and maybe it's just because it's people that I know relatively well, and so they're okay being honest. But the past week or two has been where I've noticed people flat out just saying, like, I just can't do it right now. I need time for
Good.
myself. And
I love that.
nice. Yeah, it's also refreshing just to be like, okay, there's no bullshit. It's just like,
Yeah.
And I think we all know it. We all feel it. So it's not
Yeah.
like whatever, you know.
Yeah. I think that's a really good line, actually. Like, actually, I'm just, in all honesty, like right now, I can't do it. I just need some time alone or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you had just one nugget of advice for people who might be listening to this, who are just cooped up and feeling tired and just over it.
I think there's so many things I could say. Obviously, there's all the obvious stuff like limit your social media, limit your news, make sure you've got a routine, make sure you're connecting with your friends and family and being kind to yourself. But I think if you're having consistently really bad days, it can be really useful to write down how you're feeling. So get a pen and paper and just get it all off your chest. And while you're doing that at night, I think it's really useful just before you go to bed to just think about 3 things that day that went well. It doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be life-changing. It can be as simple as, I had a shower and I got dressed. And that's going to help you to see the world in a more balanced way. So we're seeing all the negative, but we kind of need to look out for the positive as well. And instead of trying to force yourself to feel grateful and happy, just notice the moments that you do, because once you start noticing them, you'll probably be looking out for them more, and then hopefully you'll have more of those moments.
Oh, fine. I'll give it a try. Fine.
You should.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for doing this, and hopefully we'll see you very, very soon in person.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Good.
Hi.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Now we're doing some improv.
Oh my God. It's like he keeps telling me that he's a macadamia, but like he's not, he's just like, he's such a classic pistachio. I can't even believe it.
I can't believe you're telling me that. What?
I can't believe you think he's a pistachio, because I thought he was always just a bit of more of a Brazil nut.
Are you kidding me? He's
Are
like,
you out of your fucking mind?
What are you like? You're so like judgmental right now. Or it's like what do you think he is?
I think he's also a macadamia nut.
oh my God. You know what? Then you should sleep with him because you love a round, smooth nut. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just like who you are. But I
should
just like,
literally
I don't
go
believe
get
it.
fucked.
Hey, what are you guys talking about?
Oh, hey.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on?
Hey,
I mean,
You're cute.
yeah.
Are you salted?
you must be like a macadamia nut.
Shut up.
Did you just ask me if I'm a macadamia nut?
No,
There's only
look
a
at
few of you
him.
in the jar. There's just a few in the jar.
Guys, he's a cashew.
I'm.
He's a total cashew.
What is this language? Is this an innuendo I'm not getting?
That's such a cashew.
You're
thing to
so
say.
funny.
Okay,
So
he is a
funny.
cashew. I get it. He's a cashew.
Okay, he's a cashew.
I can't tell if that's a compliment or an insult. It doesn't make any sense.
But like, could be a bit of an almond, right?
Yeah, I'm getting
Well,
a little bit of that.
Wait,
you know what I mean?
okay, sorry, this might be weird, but can you tell us your mom's name?
Yeah, it's Amanda.
Okay,
Oh
you guys
my
are right.
God. Oh,
he
yeah,
could
it's-
be an
it's-
almond. I
it's
see it.
total
You're
almond.
right. You're right. He's an almond.
What does that mean?
Seriously?
This right now, you're acting like a fucking walnut right now.
Okay, I mean, I can tell by your tone that walnuts are bad, but I honestly, which one of you actually makes the coffee here?
We all do.
Yeah.
That's why we have these name tags. Do you see
and
my
these
name
aprons?
tag?
Do you
What
see
does
these
my name
aprons
tag say?
and
Do
name
you-
tags?
And do you see the burns on our fingers from the milk steamer?
Yeah. And do you see these tiny little milking machines that we use to get milk out of these almonds?
Yeah.
I see all that. I don't see any gloves. I don't see any masks. I'm not seeing a lot of hygiene. And I would love to, if I could, on any one of you, just see a pair of pants.
You guys are right. He's a walnut.
He's a fucking walnut.
Walnut.
The fucking walnut.
Fuck you fucking walnut.
Yeah, go eat a dick.
I'm starting to think about not shopping here.
We've already thought about not giving you anything anyway.
Yeah, go get yourself a dick, you walnut.
Well, just so you guys know, I'm a motherfucking peanut. Door slam.
Oh my God, I can't believe we didn't see that. How did
That
we
was
think
so
of
hot,
peanut?
you guys.
He's a total peanut.
Wait a second, but a peanut's not even a nut.
Yeah, that's why it's hot.
Ew, you're gross, Matilda.
All right, I think that's enough.
Didn't want to sit on that banger all night. You know what I mean?
Can't let that stay inside. All right, Matilde Keizer, Dan Stern, thanks so much for joining us on this week's episode of Temperature Check.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, the pleasure was without a doubt mine.
What do you have to plug? Where can we find you online, Matilda?
You can find me on Instagram under Matilde Keizer, Keizer. I have 2 German podcasts.
Oh, yes.
One called Mathilde und Georg produzieren Unterhaltung. It's a catchy, quick name. And Schamlos. So you can find me there. I guess what I'm currently doing is just podcasting.
That's the way to do it. Cool.
Jump on the bandwagon.
Dan, you've also got some podcasts.
Oh, yeah. You should definitely check out Radio Spätkauf. It's news and interviews in English, but from Berlin. We talk about events in Berlin in English.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
Where else can we find you online?
At Daniel and Stern.
Good.
Oh, it's on Twitter and Instagram. No one's gonna listen to this and be like, I need to find that guy's Insta. You know what? If you do, DM me. I will show you my nuts.
He's got a nice package of almonds.
DM us and we'll tell you what nut you are.
And then I'm gonna be. Do I have a show coming up?
Yeah, you have a show coming up whenever we open. You've got a show coming up, and
we're doing an online show.
Online show. That's right. On Saturday. Hold on, April 18th.
So if you've ever wanted to see what it was like for me to stand alone in a theater doing comedy, tune in for that one.
Oh, you're gonna do it alone in the theater?
Yeah.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah, and in the absolutely, hopefully foreseeable future, you can find me at Comedy Cafe Berlin.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll see what happens. Hopefully sooner rather than later. We can do this not on Zoom anymore.
It's a laugh of desperation. Thanks to the both of you for doing this, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We've got online courses and workshops available for registration at our training school, the CCB Training School. You can take everything from improv to storytelling. Those are coming up soon. You can check all that out at training.comedycafeberlin.com.
We're also live streaming shows every Friday and Saturday. You can find a schedule and links to those on comedycafeberlin.com.
And of course, we have to ask for your support. I mean, what would a podcast be if we didn't do that? If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and tell your friends. You can like and follow Comedy Cafe Berlin online on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. You can subscribe to us on YouTube and, of course, our own website.
And if you love live comedy and you'd like to help out the theater, you can do that during this closure by donating to us, purchasing a gift certificate, or buying some merch online. Again, that's comedycafeberlin.com.
Thanks this week to our guests, Matilde Keizer, Dan Stern, and Sophie Walsh-Harrington.
We should also thank Dan Stern for writing this week's sketch as well.
And thanks to Jakob Wagner for the theme music and Exberliner for their support and promotion of the show.
Thanks so much, and see you next week.
Bye.
Temperature check, icy cold. Temperature check, searing hot. Temperature check, listen to the temperature check, icy cold. Temperature check, searing hot. Temperature check, listen to the temperature check.